Welcome to the audio conferencing center. Please enter a conference ID followed by pound.
Is this the interpreter? Good morning. Do we have the interpreter on the line? Mr. Horn. Mr. Horn. Mr. Horn, can I get you to put your camera off for now until the
I'm sorry.
Hang on,
I
Mr.
am connected, but I don't hear anybody. I can see everybody.
Is that the interpreter? Can the interpreter hear me now?
Hello?
We're trying to get
Hi,
the
good morning, Your Honor. We're trying to connect the interpreter. I think he's having some difficulties, but he's relogging in.
Okay.
And Your Honor, this is the court interpreter, Spanish court interpreter. While we wait, it seems that there are no Spanish speakers on this morning's 1XIA list.
I do not see any Spanish interpreters this morning, Mr. Davis, so you are free to go. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
I guess JLX should have confirmed with you. We don't have any Spanish speakers, right?
You are correct.
Hello.
I'm looking for the interpreter.
Hi, this is Nizar. I am the court interpreter.
Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
All right. Miss Adams, can you hear us from the jail?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's get started. Hi, sir, at the jail, please tell me your name.
Khaled Ali Mahmoud.
So, sir, we have an interpreter for you this morning. So perhaps you understand English, but what we're going to do is when I speak, you're going to have the interpreter speak after me. I need you to listen to him and then answer the question, okay? All right, let's try that again. Mr. Interpreter, tell me your name, sir, at the
سيد
jail.
علي أنا سيد علي أنا اسمي نزار أنا المترجم للمحكمة. القاضية تحكي بعدين حتوقف وأنا بترجم لك ولحتى نسمع الإجابة منك. عم تفهم علي مظبوط؟
مضبوط حاضر.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Tell me your name.
شو اسمك؟
خالد محمود علي.
Mr. Interpreter, I heard Khaled Muhammad Ali.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Sir, you are here today on a misdemeanor charge of disorderly conduct. It is a domestic violence offense.
أنت هون اليوم بسبب جنحة بحقك لاضطراب الأمن العام وعنف منزلي فهي التهمة الموجهة لك اليوم.
You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
عندك الحق انك ما تحكي ولا كلمة لأنه كل شيء ممكن تحكيه اليوم يمكن يستخدم ضدك في المحكمة في المستقبل.
This is the time for
Go
your
ahead.
This is the time for your initial appearance where we're going to set conditions of release. This is also the time for your arraignment.
هاي الجلسة الأولية لهالمحكمة لحتى نحط شروط إخلاء سبيلك والمسار المحكمة من هون وجاي. Go ahead.
You are presumed innocent. I am going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf.
نحن حنفترض انك انت بريء وحنقدم صلح انك انت مالك مذنب لحتى يصير وقت المحكمة. Go ahead.
I have reviewed information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report for the court that tells me a little bit about you and the circumstances of this offense.
القاضي وجاها تقرير كامل عن ظروف المشكلة وتقرير كامل عنك وهي عندها علم بكل شيء. Go ahead.
It looks like the victim in this matter is your girlfriend, Miss Lopez.
الضحية بهالمشكلة هي صاحبتك. Go ahead.
If I release you on these charges today, do you promise to appear in city court at a date I give you in the future?
إذا أطلقنا سراحك اليوم هل أنت توعد المحكمة أنك تروح على المحكمة المدينة بالوقت المحدد؟
Yes. I يقول لا باجي يقول لا. وعدك باجي يقول لا وعد باجي يقول لا.
Yes, he promises.
You are also not going to be allowed to have any contact with Miss Lopez if I release you.
والمحكمة حتمنع أي اتصال بينك وبين الآنسة لوبيز إذا هي تطلب سراحك، فلازم توعد هالشيء. هل توعد؟
اوكي ده حبلغ ذاته بالرقم ذاته اليوم ده حبلغ انا ما ده اتكلم معه ولا ده اشوفها ثاني خلاص.
I won't speak with her. I won't contact with her. I promise.
All right. So with that, I am going to release you on your promise to appear.
بالنسبة لهذا رح نطلب سراحك باعتبارك وعدت أنك تظهر بيوم المحدد في المحاكمة.
You are not allowed to have any contact with the victim. Do not go anywhere near where she is living or working.
ممنوع اتصالك بضحية الآنسة لوبيز، ممنوع تروح على منزلها، ممنوع تروح على مكان عملها نهائيا.
Do not
Go ahead.
do not commit any further acts of domestic violence.
وممنوع تسوي أي شيء عنف منزلي من هلا ورايح.
Your next court date is going to be August 5th at 1:30 at Tucson City Court in front of Judge Millian.
موعد المحكمة القادم حيكون في يوم 5 شهر آب الساعة 1:30.
You are required to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, a warrant could be issued for your arrest.
عليك انك تكون بهالمحكمة في هذا التاريخ وفي هذا الوقت، واذا لم تظهر في هذا الوقت فالقاضي ممكن تطلق امر بالقاء القبض عليك. Go ahead.
If you fail to appear at that hearing, the court could go forward with that hearing and set future hearings in your absence, including a trial.
واذا ما بتجي على هذا الموعد المحكمة ممكن تعمل مواعيد اخرى وتكمل بالمحاكمة من دون وجودك. Go ahead.
If you fail to appear at that trial and you are convicted,
وإذا ما قدرت تجي على هالمحكمة وحكم عليك بهذه المحكمة
and
Go ahead.
can't be sentenced within 90 days, then you could also lose your right to an appeal.
وإذا صدر حكم عليك فحتفقد حقك في الاستئناف هذا الحكم إذا ما كنت موجود في المحاكمة. Go ahead.
So you will be released later today. Do you have any questions about your release conditions?
فاليوم حيتركوا سراحك بعد الظهر أو بعد كم ساعة. عندك أي أسئلة؟
لا شكرا بلدان.
No, thank you.
And do you understand the consequences if you do not appear for your hearing?
وفهمت شو بيصير إذا ما رحت على المحكمة على الموعد المحدد؟
هي قالت لي وإذا ما شفتها حالسجن تزعين يوم وحتقرب.
Yes, I understand. I could be convicted. He understands all the consequences.
All right, you're all done for today, sir. Thank you.
شكرا لك.
خلاص الله معك.
And thank you, Mr. Interpreter. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
And Dale, on Mr. Soriano, are you showing a felony hold?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name. Mr. Soriano, you are here today on a misdemeanor charge involving shoplifting out of Pima County Justice Court. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Looks like you also have a felony matter that is pending at this time that's holding you in custody. We are here to talk about your conditions of release for this particular shoplifting case. I am going to release you on your promise to appear on this justice court case. What's going on with your felony case? What stage are you at right now?
Your Honor, truth be told, that was barely brought to my attention yesterday. It's non-violent. It just involves a water bottle.
Okay, so I don't want to know what it involves. I just want to
excuse
know have you been to court yet on that case?
I did, Your Honor. I did. Yes, ma'am.
So what's going to happen, sir, is I'm releasing you on this shoplifting case, but you're not going to get released until that other matter gets resolved. Okay?
Understood.
But you have to promise me that you're going to show up if you do get released between now and the court date that I give you at Justice Court. Will you promise to do that?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
So if you don't get released by July 14th at 8:30 in the morning, the jail will know that you have this hearing and you'll probably appear via video or be brought to justice court. But if you get released, you must appear at that date and time. If you don't, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you don't appear for court?
Understood.
Your additional conditions of release, should you get out of jail for this case, is you are not allowed to have any contact with the victims or return to the incident location. Wherever that shoplifting occurred, you're not allowed to go back there. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. You are all done for today, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And jail, are we doing both Olsson and Puit today?
As far as we are aware, yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you might want to go to Thompson, because the attorney there yesterday, he went to sit down,
Yeah.
and he saw who the judge, I don't recognize that judge.
Okay. Thank you. Did he follow the attorney thing or did he read that?
Yes, why not sit down? Here's one, keep talking about it, that Kennedy.
That is maybe then for 3 weeks.
You got Olsson over there.
I know, and they told me, they told it to. This is some bad space. It should be a few,
Morning.
Your Honor.
Tell me your name.
Mikhail Olson.
Mr. Olson, you were here today on misdemeanor charges involving assault and disorderly conduct. There's 2 counts of those. You do have the right to remain silent on these charges today. Anything you say can and will be used against you. These charges are out of Pima County Justice Court. We're here to talk about your conditions of release today. If I do release you today, Mr. Olsson, will you promise to show up at a court date that I give you in the future?
Yes.
If I release you, you're not going to be allowed to have any contact with the victims or return back to the incident location. Do you understand that? You don't understand what I'm telling you?
What'd you read?
Say that again.
What did you read?
Hey, Kraus.
You're not allowed, if I release you, you're not allowed to have contact with the victim, and you can't go back to 5000 North Oracle Road.
Okay. See, he's up in the mic.
Are you shaking your head?
I don't agree. No contest.
So this is not about whether you agree or not. It's whether or not you're going to abide by that. If you're not going to abide by those conditions, I'm not going to release you. Mr. Olsson? Mr. Olsson?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we're going to impose a bond in your case today. It's going to be a $500 cash or secured bond. If you post that bond, Mr. Olsson, then you're going to be released. If you do get released, you're going to have to not go near the victims and not go near the incident location. If you do that anyway, then you are going to be in violation of your conditions. Do you understand those? You may not like them, but do you understand them?
Apple.
Your next court date is going to be July 7th at 1 o'clock to be your hearing at Justice Court. If you're still in custody, you'll appear via video for that arraignment. If you do post bond and get released, you are responsible for showing up on July 7th at 1 o'clock at Justice Court for your hearing. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest.
I'm going home.
It's all right, Jail. He's done. He's good. He saw and heard what I said, so he can go.
I just left, so he can go back.
Hi, tell me your name.
Angela Pruitt?
Middle name Marie?
Yes, ma'am.
Pruitt, you are here today on some new charges out of Tucson City Court and multiple warrants. We have,
Yes, ma'am.
have 16 files here for you on all the various warrants that you have out of Tucson City Court. The charges. 16 files, yes, ma'am.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a lot of times that you haven't gone to court. So the charge, you have multiple charges involving criminal trespass, drug paraphernalia, possession of prescription drugs. It's like those are all the charges spread across many different dates and many different cases. This is the time for your initial appearance and your arraignment on the new charges of criminal trespass, drug paraphernalia, 2 counts, and possession of prescription drugs. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. This is
Can I ask a question?
hang on first. Let's get through some things.
Okay, sorry.
So this is the time of your arraignment. I am going to enter not guilty pleas on your behalf for the new charges. You are presumed innocent. We are here to talk about your conditions of release today and set future hearings for you. Because of the number of times that you failed to appear for court, Ms. Pruitt, I am going to impose a bond in your case. That bond is going to be $1,000 cash or secured. I'm gonna appoint the city public defender's office to represent you, so you'll have an attorney that'll be in contact with you.
Ma'am,
Yes.
there's no way for me to come up with that bond.
Then you'll stay.
I'm homeless.
Okay, then you're gonna stay right there in jail if you can't come up with a bond, and they'll make sure that you appear for your next hearing. That's
When is that?
gonna be July 11th at 1:45. That's
Wait,
gonna,
what's the date today?
today is the 3rd.
So, can I talk to you? Can we do something about this? I don't want to be in jail all that time.
So, Ms. Pruitt, you're gonna have someone from the city public defender's office that will be contacting you before that time, and you can talk to them about that. If you do end up getting released, your additional conditions: no consuming alcohol or illegal drugs, don't have any contact with the victims. The victims are where you're doing the criminal trespass. Do not go back there,
Okay.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
With respect to your arraignment and the rest of your charges, it'll be that July 11th court date. If for some reason you do post bond and get released, then your court date is going to be July 31st at 2. And that will be at Tucson City Court. If you get released, you're going to get copies of your paperwork that are going to have the dates and times that we just talked about, okay? If you fail to appear for your hearings, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. They could also go forward with that hearing and set future hearings, including trials in your absence. If you fail to appear for your trials and you can't be sentenced in 90 days, you'll also lose your right to an appeal. Do you understand all those consequences, Ms. Pruitt, if you don't show up for court?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, you're all done for today, ma'am.
Right.
I think she'll get these notes all taken care of. Jesus? Okay.
Oh, that's right. What's the point? Actually, I don't need that one back. No. Give me just a second, sir, at the jail. Let's do Amanda Bynum. Can you put her in there? All right. And that was for Olsson. Jail, I know Mr. Olsson got up and left. We're going to appoint Amanda Bynum as his attorney on that case since I held him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Hi, sir, at the jail. Tell me your name.
Sus Ramona, Renee.
Sir, you are here today on multiple warrants out of Pima County Justice Court. There are 5 separate warrants for failing to appear. Those charges are disorderly conduct. It's a domestic violence case. There is a DUI charge, DV criminal trespass charge, GV interfering with judicial proceedings and disturbing the peace, another disorderly conduct, and criminal trespass. You do have the right to remain silent on all of these warrants. Anything you say can and will be used against you. It's like these date back as early as 2022 and go all the way through to March of 2025 of this year. We're here to talk about your conditions of release on this case. Given the number of times that you failed to appear for court, I am going to impose a bond today of $1,000. It's going to be a cash or secured bond. I am going to appoint an attorney to represent you. That attorney is going to be Anna Dennis. If you do end up posting that bond, your additional conditions of release involve not having any contact with the victims in those cases and not returning to the incident locations, also committing no acts of domestic violence. Your next hearing is going to be July 7th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That is going to be in Pima County Justice Court. You do need to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, they're going to issue more warrants for your arrests. Do you understand the conditions of release that I've put in place today?
I thought you didn't release me.
I'm not releasing you. You have a bond. $1,000 cash or secured. If you post the bond and get released, you're going to have to appear for your court date on Monday, the 7th at 1 o'clock. If you stay in custody and can't post that bond, then the jail will make sure that you appear for that hearing, very likely via video like you're doing today. I've appointed Anna Dennis as an attorney to represent you. Do you understand all of that?
Yeah.
All right. If you fail to appear for that hearing, they're going to issue another warrant for you. Do you understand that as well?
Yeah.
All right. You're all done for today. Give me just a moment, ma'am. I'm catching up on some paperwork from the last person.
Yes, ma'am.
I heard this voice. I had that like that spot.
And I didn't put in the notes, but it'll be a $1,000 concurrent bond for all of them.
I'm trying to. Okay, so we sit down.
All right. Tell me your name, ma'am.
Louise Ivano.
Ms. Zano, you are here today for a DUI charge. Looks like that's going to be out of Pima County or Marina City Court. You do have the right to remain silent on this charge. Anything you say kind of will be used against you. If I release you on this charge today, ma'am, will you promise to appear for a court date that I give you in the future?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You're also going to have to abide by some additional conditions. You are not going to be allowed to possess or consume any alcohol, obviously no illegal drugs, and you cannot drive without a valid license. Do you understand those additional conditions that you have to abide by?
Yep.
Your next court date is going to be August 6th at 10 o'clock in Marina City Court. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, they are going to issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And when you get released later today, you're going to get a copy of your court paperwork. It's going to have the date and time that I just gave you, as well as the address and phone number for Marina City Court. Make sure you appear.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're all done.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Hi, ma'am. Tell me your name.
Genevieve Ostrid Reed.
Ms. Reed, you are here today on charges of domestic violence, disorderly conduct, and underage consumption of alcohol. You do have the right to remain silent on these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Okay.
I have had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services in this case. They prepare a report that tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. If I release you today on this charge, will you promise to show up in Green Valley Justice Court at a date that I give you in the future?
Yes, ma'am.
You are also not going to be allowed to have any contact with the victim in this case or return to the incident location, which means you do have to establish an alternate address. Can you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I will release you today on your promise to appear. You are to commit no acts of domestic violence, do not have any contact with the victim, and don't return to the incident location. Do you understand all those conditions of release?
Yes, ma'am.
Your next court date is going to be July 10th at 8:30, and that's going to be at Green Valley Justice Court. If you fail to appear for that hearing, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
When you get released later today, you are going to get a copy of your paperwork. It's going to have the court date and time that I just gave you, and also the address and phone number for the court where you need to be.
Okay, thank you.
You're all done for today, Ms. Reed.
Okay. Have a good day, ma'am.
You too.
Thompson.
Tell me your name.
Renee Thompson.
Hang on, I'm logging back into another screen. Ms. Thompson, you are here today on a charge of domestic violence, interfering with a judicial proceeding charge out of, looks like, Pima County Justice Court. You do have the right to remain silent on this charge. Anything you say can and will be used against you. This is the time for your initial appearance. We're here to talk about your conditions of release. I've had a chance to review information provided by pretrial services. If I release you today, be allowed to have any contact with the victim in this case, and you're not going to be allowed to return to that incident location. Do you have somewhere else that you're living?
Yes, that was not my residence.
So if I release you, will you promise to abide by those conditions?
Yes.
I am going to release you on your promise to appear today. As I've indicated, you are not to commit any further acts of domestic violence, don't have any contact with the victim, and don't return to the incident location. Your next court date is going to be July 14th at 10:30 in the morning. That's going to be at Pima County Justice Court. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that, Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
You're all done for today, ma'am.
Thank you.
Trible.
Hi, tell me your name.
Andrew Price Trible.
Mr. Trible, you're being seen today on, looks like a Justice Marina City Court matter, but it also looks like you have some felonies that you're being held on. So we're here to talk about your conditions of release on a drug paraphernalia and failure to appear in Marina City Court dating back to, looks like November of 24 was the offense date, and they issued a warrant after you failed to appear in January of 2025. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I am going to release you on the Marina City Court case, so that's not going to continue to hold you, and I'm going to give you a future court date on that, but you're not actually going to get released until your felony matter gets resolved. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes.
So
My father died. My father died yesterday in my arms, and I'm the only one out there to be able to establish like a funeral services or cremation for him. And so I don't know. I got arrested because I called 911 basically to get him an ambulance, and that's why I'm here. And
So, Mr.
I
Trible,
don't,
who's your,
yeah,
do you know who your attorney is on the felony case that you're being held on?
Kitty, or her name's, yeah, she's,
Is she a public
I don't-
defender? Is she with the
yeah,
public defender's office?
oh, yes, yeah, she is.
I would encourage you to call them. Like I said, this matter that I'm seeing you on today, I don't have anything to do with the felony case. I'm not here to talk about that one at all. What I'm telling you is on this misdemeanor case out of Marina, I'm going to release you and give you a new court date of August 6th at 10. Now, if for some reason you're still in custody, the jail will make sure you appear, or help you appear or figure that out with Marana court. But if you do get released, you have to appear in Marana City Court at that date and time. If you get released, you're going to get paperwork, and that will help you remember because it'll have the date and time on it and where you need to be. I'm very sorry to hear about your father. I would strongly encourage you to get a hold of your attorney on your felony case and see if there's something that they can do to help you with that.
Okay, thank you.
Right? That's all for today on this matter, Mr. Trible.
Clayton.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Troy Anthony Clayton Jr.
Mr. Clayton, you are here today on a charge of criminal trespass. It's a warrant out of Tucson City Court. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. If I release you on this charge, will you promise to actually go to city court and get this resolved?
Yes.
Right. I am going to release you on this charge today. You're not allowed to return back to the incident location wherever that criminal trespass occurred. Do not go back there. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Your next court date is going to be August 11th at 9 o'clock in the morning at Tucson City Court. You must appear at that date and time. If you don't, they're going to issue another warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you don't go to court?
Yes, ma'am.
When you get released later today, you are going to get copies of the paperwork. It's going to have the date and time and also the address and phone number for Tucson City Court. Make sure you take that piece of paper with you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All done.
Google it. Google it. Google it. Google it.
Ma'am, tell me your name.
Trying make a goal.
Ms. Gagola, you are here today on charges of, says aggravated assault, but they are misdemeanor offenses. So assault and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. These are misdemeanor charges currently out of Tucson City Court. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. If I release you on these charges today, will you promise to show up at a court date that I give you in the future?
Yes.
You are also not going to be allowed to have any contact with the victims in this case who are your minor children. Based on the information that I've reviewed from pretrial services who's prepared a report for me, it does look like DCS is involved in your case and they are representing your children. If I release you, you're going to have to agree to abide by that condition. Do you understand?
Yes.
You must also abide by any DCS conditions and commit no acts of domestic violence. Will you agree to do all of that if I release you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I am going to release you on your promise to appear with those conditions today. This is also the time for your arraignment. You are presumed innocent. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty on your behalf. Your next court date is going to be August 4th at 9 o'clock in front of Judge Maldonado at Tucson City Court. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. They could also go forward with that hearing in your absence and set future hearings, including a trial in your absence. If you're convicted at trial and can't be sentenced in 90 days, you could also lose your right to an appeal. Do you understand all of those consequences if you don't show up for court?
Yes, ma'am.
You are all done for today.
Marco Martinez. Marco Martinez. No. Martinez, Marco. This is to your left, 205 steps, this is the hall chair, there's a desk right here. Chair in front of you. Thank you.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Oh, Mark Martinez Jr.
Mr. Martinez, you are here today on charges of assault, criminal damage, and disorderly conduct. They are all domestic violence offenses out of Tucson City Court. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. This is the time for us to talk about your release conditions on this charge. Had an opportunity to review some information prepared by pretrial services on this case. The information tells me that the victim of these offenses is your mother. If I release you today on these charges, Mr. Martinez, will you promise to show up in court at a court date that I give you in the future?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are not going to be allowed to live with your mom or have any contact with her until that court date or until a judge changes that. Do you have somewhere else that you can reside?
Yeah.
All right. So I will release you on your promise to appear. You're not to commit any acts of domestic violence. You cannot have any contact with your mom. Don't go anywhere near where she is living and working, and make sure you have an alternative address. Is there anything, is there anything at that home that you need to go there to get that you can't live without?
Clothes, miss.
Okay. So what I'm going to do
Would
is
that be?
What I'm going to do is check a box on the form for your conditions of release. You're going to get a copy of that paperwork today that says you can return to that address one time with law enforcement to retrieve your belongings. So what you'll do is take a copy of the paperwork to a nearby police substation or call 911 and let them know that you need to go get your belongings involving a domestic violence case, and then they will meet you at the house. And then you can get your belongings. Do you understand all of that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This is the time for your arraignment on these charges as well. You are presumed innocent. I'm going to enter not guilty pleas on your behalf. Your next court date is August 5th at 9:30. That's going to be at Tucson City Court in front of Judge Bond. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. They can also go forward with that hearing in your absence and set future hearings, including a trial in your absence. If that trial goes forward and you're convicted, you could also lose your right to a direct appeal if you're not sentenced within 90 days. Do you understand all those consequences for failing to appear?
Yeah.
Right, you're all done for today, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning.
Up and down.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Jacob Daniel Skipmore.
Mr. Skipmore, you were here today on warrants out of Tucson City Court for, looks like, an animal not wearing a tag, drug paraphernalia, disorderly conduct, and another drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say kind of will be used against you. Looks like you also have a DOC hold. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do on this case, sir, is hold you on a $500 bond. We're here to talk about your conditions of release on the Tucson City Court cases. So I'm going to impose a $500 cash bond today and appoint the City Public Defender's Office to represent you. They're going to do a video review hearing with you on July 11th at 1:45. That hopefully will get your Tucson City Court matters resolved, and then you would be able to go get your DOC matters handled. Do you understand all of that?
Yeah.
If for some reason you do get released before that July 11th date, you are responsible for appearing at that date and time at Tucson City Court. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. And actually, if you do get released, your hearing date gets kicked out to August 4th. So if you get released, I'm going to have that information for you. It'll be on paperwork that you'll get if for some reason you get released.
Then how would I get released?
Huh?
How would that be happening?
I don't think it is going to happen, but I don't, if it's the only way that's going to happen is if DOC lifts the hold. But what I have to make sure is that you understand the consequences if you don't show up for court, that they could issue a warrant for you. And we've got both dates. So the likelihood is you'll be seen via video like you're doing today, on July 11th, and someone from the city public defender's office will be in touch, okay? Okay, you're all done.
Richard?
Your Honor, can we waive reading the charges for Mr. Clevenger, please?
I don't usually read, yes, is there someone else around him?
No, Your Honor, but no, Your Honor.
Okay. Hi, sir, tell me your name.
Travis Arthur Clevenger.
Mr. Clevenger, you are here today on a charge that I want your attorney to show you. Do you have something, Miss Adams, on the screen that you can at least show him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. Are you able to see the screen, sir, to see the charge that you're here for today?
Let's see if Marina knows.
Mr. Clevenger, did you see the charge?
Yeah.
So that is the charge that you are here for today. This is the time for your initial appearance where we're going to talk about your conditions of release. You do have the right to remain silent on this charge. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I'm going to appoint David Wilkinson as a contract attorney to represent you. You do have an attorney today from the public defender's office seated with you for purposes of these proceedings. I've had the opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. They gave me a report that tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. I've also had a chance to review the state's recommendation as to their request for conditions of release. They're asking for a $7,500 bond at this time. I am inclined to impose a bond in the amount of $5,000. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor, given that Mr. Clevenger has no failure to appear in the last 2 years, and this is a nonviolent offense, we'd ask the court to consider lowering the bond or release pretrial services.
So Mr. Clevenger, I am going to impose that $5,000 bond today. It is a cap. If you do post that bond, then you'll be released to pretrial services. You will have to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms. If you do get released, you're going to get a copy of your court paperwork, and you do have to go to the sheriff's department to take care of some things within 2 working days following your release, and that information will be on your court paperwork. Your next hearing is going to be July 14th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That hearing may or may not occur, but if you fail to appear for future hearings, a warrant could issue for your arrest. It'll be important that you stay in contact with your attorney if you get released. If you stay in custody, the jail will make sure that you appear for your next hearing. Do you understand all of your conditions of release, Mr. Clevenger? And do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear for your hearing? Okay, you're all done for today, Mr. Clevenger. Hi, ma'am. Tell me your name.
Abigail Mendoza.
Ms. Mendoza, you are here today on charges of child abuse, endangerment, a hit and run damaging a vehicle, another criminal damage, and an aggravated DUI. You do have the right to remain silent on these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this case. I am going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you. You do have counsel seated with you today from the public defender's office for these proceedings. This is the time to discuss your conditions of release. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. Tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances of this offense. I've reviewed the state's recommendation as to your conditions of release. They're asking for a $2,500 bond. I am inclined to impose a $5,000 bond on this case. I understand that there is no criminal history. However, I am concerned given the nature of the offenses in this case. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Judge.
Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Given the fact that she does have no criminal history, she has no failures to appear. She is a lifelong Tucson resident, and her age, she's 20 years old. I asked for release pretrial services or an alternative to lower the bond.
Ms. Mendoza, I am going to impose a $5,000 cash or secured bond today. If you are able to post that bond, then you'll be released to pretrial services. You will have to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You're not allowed to have any alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not drive without a valid license, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. You're also not going to be allowed to have contact with the victims in this case at this time. To the extent that DCS is involved, you must abide by any conditions DCS imposes. Do you understand all those conditions of release?
Yes.
Your next hearing is going to be July 14th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That hearing may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future hearings. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear for your hearings?
Yes.
If you do get released, it'll be really important that you stay in contact with your attorney so you don't miss your court dates. If you do stay in custody, the jail will make sure you get transported for your hearings. You're all done for today, Ms. Mendoza. Okay.
We got to. Let me keep it. Spoken. It doesn't.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
For the author is Alistister, Canada, King of Lavington.
Mr. Canada, you are here today on a warrant out of San Diego.
Yes, ma'am, but
Hang on. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney here in Arizona on these charges. I'm going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you.
Yes, ma'am. I am demanding my release. The social security number on the warrant does not match my social security number. I was not supposed to be brought in.
So the information that I have is that this is a post-adjudication warrant. Is that the information that the jail has as well?
Social security numbers do not match, ma'am. I was not.
Canada, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the jail. You're not going to want to speak. That's information you can talk to your attorney from the legal defender's office about. That's not information that I'm going to talk with you about today. Jail, are you showing that it is a post-adjudication warrant?
Consequences. False imprisonment.
Sorry, jail, I can't hear you.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. I've had a chance to review the state's recommendation. It looks like they're asking for a $10,000 bond on this matter. Mr. Poston, if it's post-adjudication, are you asking for the bond in lieu of a hearing?
Your Honor, the state leaves it to the court's discretion.
Ms. Adams, did you want to be heard?
Your Honor, we'd ask for an extradition hearing to be set.
So because this is a post-adjudication matter, Mr. Canada, you're going to be held without bond at this time, and you're going to have a hearing in Pima County Superior Court on July 8th at 2:30. The legal defender's office will represent you, and you will have an opportunity to talk with them and be seen by the court so that you can discuss conditions of release for the future.
No, ahead of time.
Craven?
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Jacob there, Thomas Craven.
Mr. Craven, you are here today on a charge of endangerment and criminal damage. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. These are felony offenses. I am going to appoint the public defender's office today, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of these proceedings. I've had a chance to review some information provided by pretrial services. That report tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. I've also had a chance to review the state's recommendation. They are asking for a $5,000 cash or secured bond. Given the criminal history, the prior DUI, and the nature of this offense, I am inclined to impose a $5,000 bond and release to pretrial if he posts that bond. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, Mr. Craven has no failures to appear. He is employed full-time. His spouse indicated to be willing to assume third-party custody to assure future court appearances. And his last conviction is from 2015, which just went 10 years ago. So we'd ask for release of pretrial services.
I am going to impose the bond, Mr. Craven. It's a $5,000 cash or secured bond. If you do post that bond, then you'll be released to pretrial services. You're going to need to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. This is an alcohol-related offense, so they will have you testing if you get released. You are not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol, obviously no illegal drugs. You can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Do not drive without a valid license, and you're not allowed to have any contact with the victim of the endangerment in this case. Your next court date is going to be July 14th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That is a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand the conditions of release I've put in place today, Mr. Craven?
Yes.
Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear for your next court date?
Yes.
You do get released. Make sure you stay in contact with your attorney so that you don't miss any future court hearings. You're all done for today. Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Ronaldo Duarte Mendoza.
Sir, you were here today on a charge of aggravated DUI, criminal damage, and endangerment. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report for me that tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances. This report tells me that regardless of what we do here today, the Bureau of Immigration and Custom Enforcement has placed a hold on you, so you would not be released on this case regardless of what we do. We are here to talk about your conditions of release on these charges. The state has asked for a $7,500 bond in this case. Given the history that I have reviewed, that is my inclination. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Adams, did you want to be heard?
Your Honor, given the ICE hold, I'd ask for a nominal bond for time credit.
So, sir, I'm going to impose a $7,500 cash or secured bond on this case. If for some reason that ICE hold gets lifted, and you get released and you post your bond on this case, you would be released to pretrial services. You'd have to report to them as directed, participate in any monitoring or treatment. It's an alcohol-related offense, so they will be testing you and you'll have to participate in that. You are not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol, obviously no illegal drugs. Do not drive without a valid license. You can't have any firearms while this case is going on, and you can't have any contact with the victims or return to the incident location. Do you understand all those conditions of release, sir?
Yes.
Your next court date in this matter is going to be July 14th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand those consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
You're all done for today, sir.
Nothing to say. Bigly.
Hi, tell me your name.
Marina Hil.
Ma'am, you are here today on charges of dangerous drug possession, possession of a prohibited weapon, and drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. Today, we're going to appoint the Legal Defender's Office to represent you. And you have an attorney from the Public Defender's Office seated with you for purposes of these proceedings. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. Tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. I've also had a chance to review the state's recommendation on your case. They are asking for a $25,000 bond. It does look like you have a couple of other pending matters. There's a Pima County Superior Court case and also a case out of Texas, a district court case there. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Higley Reyes has no failures to appear in the last 2 years. She has been a Tucson resident for 30 plus years, and her mother indicated she'd be willing to assume third-party custody of her. So we'd ask for to release her pretrial services or in the alternative or reduction of the bond.
Jail, are you showing any holds at this time? So I am going to impose a bond in this case. That bond amount is going to be $7,500. It's going to be cash or secured. If you post that bond, ma'am, then you'd be released to pretrial services. If you get released, you have to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you are not allowed to have any firearms. Your next court date is July 14th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand all the conditions of release I've explained to you here today?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear for your court hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
You do post that bond. It'll be important that you stay in contact with your attorney so you don't miss court. You're all done for today.
Mr. Holston.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Joshua Holston.
Mr. Holston, you are here today on charges of domestic violence, aggravated assault, also disorderly conduct with a weapon, 3 counts of that, and disorderly conduct. It's like an additional 2 counts, so total of 5 counts on that. These are felony offenses. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. That report tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances of the offense. I've reviewed the state's recommendation. They're asking for a $15,000 bond in this case. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
Your Honor, this individual is alleged to have grabbed a shot after threatening and assaulting his spouse. His father-in-law went to defend his daughter, and when he was confronted, the defendant cocked the shotgun and threatened his father-in-law, who was, it would appear, trying to defend his daughter. This is 6 separate DV counts. This person poses a risk to the community, $15,000.
Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Holston has no prior felony convictions. He has no failures to appear. He is a lifelong resident of Tucson. He is employed full-time, The alleged victim in the case does not object to his release from pretrial services, and alternative housing has been confirmed. So we'd ask for release of pretrial services or an alternative reduction of the bond.
I am going to impose a $10,000 cash or secured bond in this case. If you post that bond, Mr. Holston, you'll be released to pretrial services. You are going to have additional conditions of release. You are not allowed to have any contact with the victims in this case, none of them. You're not allowed to return to the incident location. The no contact order applies to you if you remain in custody as well. So you may be given access to phones, tablets, ways to communicate with people. You are under the court's order to not have any contact with any of the victims. Do you understand those conditions of release?
Yes.
If you do get released to pretrial, there may be some additional things they're going to ask you to do. You are required to stay in contact with them as directed, participate in any monitoring or treatment they require. You are not allowed to have any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you're not allowed to have any firearms while this case is going on. If you do have access to other firearms that you possess, you must surrender those to law enforcement, and you can't commit any further acts of domestic violence. Do you understand all of those conditions?
I do.
Your next court date is going to be July 14th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear for your hearing?
Yes.
If you do get your bond posted and get released, make sure you stay in contact with your attorney so you don't miss your court dates. You're all done for today, sir. Mr. Fidel, Mr. Horn should be up next.
Horn.
Thanks, Judge.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Cameron Hunt.
Mr. Horn, you are here today on charges of aggravated assault, kidnapping, and criminal damage. These are all domestic violence offenses. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have Louis Fidel, who is appearing on your behalf today. Mr. Fidel, have you filed a notice of appearance on this case? All right, and it looks like we may have the victims who are also present. Oh, nope, they're not. I guess they're just, I don't know how they managed to get on here, Mr. Fidel.
Mr. Horn's parents are present. I don't know if there's a mix-up.
Okay, it's the parents, yes. It's my mix-up, not anyone else's. So, Mr. Horn, I've had the opportunity to review your conditions of release in this case that are being requested by the state. So they're requesting a $75,000 bond in this matter. I've reviewed information pretrial services has provided to me, tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances of the offense in this particular case. I am inclined to impose a bond in this matter. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
Your Honor, the injuries sustained by the victim in this case are pretty brutal. It would appear, it is alleged, that the defendant attacked the victim, who is his ex-girlfriend apparently, charged her in rage, knocked her into the ground, stole her phone, stole a ring, and in the process tore the victim's fingernail off of her finger and destroyed her phone, which she was apparently using to record this assault and this attack. He pinned her down, would not let her to leave, said he was going to kill her, and apparently also put her in the hospital with a concussion, not to mention the fingernail avulsion. This is a brutal and apparently unprovoked attack, and the state believes he is a danger to the victim and to the community at large. $75,000.
Mr. Fidel.
Well, Judge, I have not seen the interim complaint, and I have not seen any police reports, so I'm not in a position to speak about the facts of the case. But from my understanding, I would object to characterization of this as unprovoked. I do not understand this to be an incident that just occurred in a vacuum or out of the blue.
Now, obviously, I can't really speak to injuries. Mr. Horn, as the court can probably see, has injuries to his face and his neck as well. But principally, I think what the court has to consider in this instance is the risk to the alleged victim, the risk to the community, and the likelihood of Mr. Horn appearing at court dates. And all of those factors are in Mr. Horn's favor. Mr. Horn retained me as soon as he was aware that there was a law enforcement investigation in this matter. I have been in touch immediately with the detective. As soon as the detective contacted me yesterday to let us know that Mr. Horn needed to turn himself in, Mr. Horn immediately agreed to do that. We went to the police station and we actually waited around for about a half an hour waiting for the officer, or the detective, excuse me, to get there. So Mr. Horn absolutely understands the importance of coming to court, of complying with the legal process, and there's no concern there. Furthermore, he understands without question that he cannot be in contact with the alleged victim. He understands that that simply cannot happen. And there is no risk of him doing that. He has no domestic violence history. He has no felony arrest history. He has no misdemeanor conviction history. He is a graduate of the U of A. He is full-time employed. He is a lifelong Tucson resident. He has extremely strong support from his family. His mother and father are both here on the video call this morning. They both came with him to the jail yesterday. He has stable housing with them. So all of those factors are in Mr. Horn's favor. And I would ask the court to release him, if not on his own recognizance, and certainly to pretrial services. And the other thing that I would add is that his parents have already begun taking steps. They've made arrangements for Mr. Horn to undergo some mental health evaluation and counseling. And so that's a thing that they're cognizant of, that needs to happen. And Mr. Horn is aware of that as well. So I would ask for all those reasons for release, and certainly not a $75,000 bond.
I do believe a bond is appropriate in this case. I am going to impose a $20,000. That will be a cash or secured bond. Mr. Horn, if you do post that bond, then you would be released to pretrial services. You're going to be ordered to stay in contact with that agency, participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You're not to commit any further acts of domestic violence. You are not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you may not have any firearms in your possession. You are not allowed to have any contact with the victim in this case or return to the incident location. The order of no contact with the victim does apply to you for as long as you remain in the Pima County Jail. That means that even though you may be given access to phones, tablets, etc., you are not allowed to have any contact with the victim in this case. You understand all of those conditions of release.
Yes, ma'am.
Your next court date is going to be July 14th at 1:30. That's going to be a preliminary hearing. That date may or may not occur, but you're expected to show up at all future hearings. And if you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. If you do get bonded out, it's going to be important that you stay in contact with Mr. Fidel. Sounds like you know very well how to do that so that you don't miss any future court dates. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're all done with that matter for today. Thank you, everyone.
Judge, can I, a couple of housekeeping questions?
Sure.
I didn't catch, did you say cash or secured on the 20,000?
I did, sir.
Okay, so can Mr. Horn's father, his intention is to get that taken care of. Can he just go to the courthouse to pay that if they're not using a bondsman?
They usually go to the jail, I believe, not the house, but I don't know, Mr. Fidel. It's been a long time since I've had information on that, but I would have them start with the jail if they're just going to post the bond for it.
All right, thanks very much, Judge.
All right, have a good day, everyone.
Yep, bye-bye.
Mr. Horn, you're all done.
Thank you.
Mr. Moreno Martinez.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Luis Moreno Martinez.
Sir, you are here today on charges of dangerous drug possession and possession of drug paraphernalia. We also need to talk about a failure to appear on a Tucson City Court case. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report that tells me a little bit about you and the circumstances of the offense. Based on the nature of your charges, Mr. Moreno Martinez, the personal possession charges, you may be eligible to participate in a pre-indictment diversion program. It's called STEPS. If you agree to participate in substance abuse treatment and graduate successfully from that program, the state would not go forward with these felony charges. Is that something that you're interested in participating in if you qualify?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. With that, I am inclined to release him to pretrial services. Does either party need to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Are you willing to waive time for the preliminary hearing, Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Right. So we're going to release you to pretrial services. You'll get released later today. You're going to have a court hearing next week, July 10th at 9 o'clock in Superior Court. It is very important that you go to that hearing. If you don't show up for that hearing, you're not going to be allowed to participate in that program, and the state's going to go forward and charge you with these felony cases or charges. Do you understand that?
Correct.
All right. You're going to have to stay in contact with pretrial services, participate in any monitoring or treatment that they direct. You are not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol, no illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. So go to that hearing next week. After that, your next court date at this time is August 18th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you don't, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear for court?
Yes, I understand.
Do you have somewhere you're residing right now?
No, I don't have a place.
So we're going to talk about your Tucson City Court case, and then we're going to talk about the transition center, which is there at the jail. And I would encourage you to go by there. So you're also here for a Tucson City Court warrant. It looks like for assault, criminal damage, and disorderly conduct. You also have the right to remain silent on that case. When was the last time you were at Kodak?
I think I have one thing. And I was never there.
Okay, all right. It looks like your Tucson City Court paperwork had Kodak as a connected provider. We'll talk about that in a second. If I release you on this case and give you a court date, will you promise to show up for your court dates at Tucson City Court?
Yes.
All right, your next court date at City Court is going to be August 5th at 9 o'clock in the morning. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, they could issue another warrant for your arrest. You are not allowed to have any contact with the victim in that case and don't return to the incident location. Do you understand all of that, including that they can issue another warrant for you if you don't go to court?
Yeah.
When you get released later today, you're going to get a copy of your court paperwork for both of the hearings that we just talked about, your felony case and also the misdemeanor city court case. Going to have the dates and times that you need to appear. I believe Ms. Adams also wrote those down for you so that you can take them with you. That hearing next week will be really important, Mr. Moreno Martinez, because if you go to Superior Court, they're going to have service providers in the courtroom, treatment providers, and also your attorney and other people that may be able to assist you. In the meantime, when you get released today, as soon as you walk out the door, if you look down on the ground, there's going to be a blue line. If you follow that blue line, it's going to take you to the transition center. It's a big white trailer right there adjacent to the jail property. And it's got a big blue sign that says Transition Center. If you walk in there, you're going to be greeted by some navigators that work at that facility that can connect you to services, including housing, any kind of substance abuse, mental health treatment. They can help you get rides to court if you need that assistance. So I would encourage you to stop by there to see what they can do. Okay?
But
all right, you're all done for today.
Mr. Nelson?
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Thomas Nelson.
Mr. Nelson, you are here today on charges of unlawful possession of a dangerous drug, unlawful possession of a dangerous drug for sale, unlawful possession of another dangerous drug charge, and possession of a firearm during a narcotics offense. These are all felonies. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. Today, we're going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the proceedings here today. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services, tells me a little bit about you and the circumstances of the offense. I've also had an opportunity to review the state's recommendation. They're asking for a $10,000 bond. That is my inclination, given the amount of narcotics in this case. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Judge.
Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Given that Mr. Nelson has no prior felony history, he has no failures to appear in the last 2 years. He reports that he is employed as a landscaper, and he has spent a significant amount of time in Tucson. We'd ask for release to pretrial services.
Mr. Nelson, I am going to hold you today on a bond of $10,000. That's a cash or secured bond. If you post that bond, then you'll be released to pretrial services. You do have to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Do you understand all those conditions of release, sir?
Yeah.
Your next court date is going to be July 14th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that as well?
Yeah.
All right, you're all done for today. Hey, sir, tell me your name.
Saldana.
Mr. Saldana, you were here on multiple matters today. One, and the first is a felony charge involving possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. Then we have 2 justice court warrants that you're being seen on today. It looks like for a facilitation charge. And then another charge from 2024. Looks like that's an indecent exposure charge. And then you also have a Tucson City Court case we need to talk about. You do have the right to remain silent on all of these cases. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to an attorney in the felony matters. Today, I'm going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you. You do have an attorney from the public defender's office seated with you today for purposes of this hearing. We're here to talk about your conditions of release. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. It tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances of the offense. I've also had a chance to review the state's recommendation as to your conditions of release. Based on the nature of the charges, Mr. Saldana, you may be eligible to participate in a pre-indictment diversion program. It's called STEPS. If you participate in that program and successfully complete substance abuse treatment, then the state would not go forward with these felony charges against you. Is that something that you would like to see if you're eligible for?
Absolutely.
All right. So I am going to give you a court date, and that's going to be next week, July 10th at 9 o'clock, and that is going to be in Pima County Superior Court. I do have concerns, sir, regarding your failures to appear in the warrants in multiple jurisdictions. So I am inclined to impose a bond today of $2,500, cash or secured. And if you post that bond, you'd be released to pretrial services. That is the state's recommendation. Mr. Poston, did you need to be heard further?
No, Judge.
Adams?
Your Honor, may I have one moment to speak with Mr. Saldana?
Yes.
Your Honor, Mr. Saldana reports to me that he was in the hospital. He has several disabilities, and so he that was the reason he was reporting that he was not able to attend past court hearings. And so we'd ask for release pretrial services.
So Mr. Saldana, I am going to hold you on a $2,500 cash or secured bond on that felony case today. If you do post that bond, then you'll be released to pretrial services. You do have to stay in contact with that agency. Don't possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while the case is going on. Your next court date is going to be July 14th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. If you're still in custody next week for that hearing on July 10th, the steps hearing, then you'll have the chance to, the jail will take you to the courtroom wherever those are taking place. It could even be my courtroom. And then you're going to have an opportunity to meet with your attorney at that time. If you do enter into the steps program, they may be reviewing your conditions of release. You'll also be able to meet with service providers right there in the courtroom that may be able to assist you with getting into treatment as well. We also need to talk now about your other matters, but first, you understand all the conditions of release in your felony case.
Not really, but yes.
Okay, you don't have to like them, but do you understand all of them? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear for your hearing?
Yes.
All right. So we need to talk about your 2 justice court matters. I am going to release you on those. So they're not going to continue to hold you in the event that you get released on that felony case. So your next hearing for those matters, and there's 2 of them in justice court, is going to be July 14th at 8:30. You are going to need to appear on July 14th at 8:30 for both of those charges so that you can get these matters resolved. They are not going to go away. If you get connected to your service providers, when you go to your hearing next week for steps, they may be able to assist you with transportation to and from court hearings if you need that assistance. But you do need to make sure that you go. Don't go near the incident location where your justice court matters occurred. Do you understand those conditions of release in your next court date for those 2 matters? And if you fail to appear again, they could issue warrants for you. Now we need to talk about your Tucson City Court matter. It's a warrant for disorderly conduct. Again, sir, I'm going to release you on that one as well. But because you have a felony that you're being held on for now, I'm also going to appoint the city public defender's office and give you a couple different dates. If you are still in custody, the next date for you is going to be a video review hearing on July 11th at 1:45 in the afternoon. If you are out of custody before that July 11th date, then your next court hearing is going to be August 4th at 2:30 in the afternoon. And that hearing will take place at Tucson City Court. Do not have any contact with the victim of that disorderly conduct and don't return to the incident location. Do you understand those conditions of release in that matter?
Yes.
And again, sir, if you don't show up for court, you may very well be released before that July 11th date, the 1:45 one. So if that happens, make sure that you show up for your court date on August 5th, okay?
Okay.
All right, you're all done for today. And are you not? We don't have Bates on here. Do you want me to send that one back to you? Because I don't. Great. I will send them back to you. And Sir PCO is the other one? Yeah. All right. Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
I'm Michael Schweitzer.
Mr. Schweitzer, you are here today on charges of possession of narcotic drugs, possession of dangerous drugs, DUI, aggravated DUI, and possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney on the felony charges. I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I have reviewed information provided by the state, and it looks like they're moving to dismiss your felony matters at this time without prejudice. Is that what you're doing, Mr. Poston?
Correct, Your Honor.
Right, so your felony matters and the charges I just talked about are being dismissed today. However, we have a Tucson City Court case that we do need to talk about. Looks like there is a warrant out for your arrest on that case for criminal littering, and that dates back to 2022. If I release you on that charge, will you promise to actually go to city court and get it taken care of?
Yes, I will, Your Honor.
All right, I am going to release you on your promise to appear on that charge. Your next court date in that case is going to be August 4th at 2:00 in the afternoon. You do need to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, they're going to issue yet another warrant for your arrest. You need to get that matter taken care of. Do you understand?
Yes, I'll show up in Tucson City Court.
All right, you're all done for today, sir.
It's reporting.
Mr. Soto?
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Richard Soto.
Mr. Soto, you are here on multiple matters today. We do have felony charges involving organized retail theft and shoplifting with multiple misdemeanor shoplifting. So now that is a felony. And then we do have multiple warrants out of Justice Court and also City Court that we need to talk about today. You do have the right to remain silent on all of these cases. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in the felony charges. I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services that tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances of the offense. Also had a chance to review the state's recommendation. They're asking for a $7,500 cash or secured bond. I was inclined to impose a $5,000 cash or secured bond. Mr. Poston, did you need to be heard further?
No, Judge.
Ms. Adams?
Your Honor, given Mr. Soto's lack of criminal convictions, and he's a lifelong Tucson resident, I'd ask for a release to pretrial services.
Mr. Soto, I am going to impose a bond today of $5,000. It looks like you have not been taken care of in courts and warrants have been issued for you since 2023. That $5,000 bond is cash or secured. If you do post that bond, then you'd be released to pretrial services. You have to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. You are not allowed to return to where these shopliftings occurred. Those are the incident location. Do not go back there. Those are the victims. You can't have any contact with them. Do you understand your conditions of release in your felony case?
Yes.
Your next court date on your felony matter is going to be July 14th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future hearings. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that as well?
Yes.
Now we need to talk about your justice court matters. As I've indicated, there are multiple warrants for possession of drug paraphernalia, shoplifting, and shoplifting. And again, those date back from 2023, 2024, another 2023, and another 2023. You do have the right to remain silent on those matters. I am going to release you on the misdemeanors, but give you a future court date on that matter of July 14th at 8:30. If you're still in custody, the jail will make sure that you are transported or appear via video for that next hearing. If for some reason you do get released on the felony, you're not allowed to go near the incident locations or have contact with the victims in that case. Do you understand that as well?
Yes.
And then we need to talk about your Tucson City Court. Give me a moment. You have to fill out all the paperwork for all of these other ones. All right, as to your Tucson City Court matter, it involves a criminal trespass charge. I am going to release you on your city court case, but I am going to appoint the city public defender's office to represent you since you're being held on that felony matter. Your next court date is going to be July 11th at 1:45 in the afternoon. That's going to be a video review hearing. If you post your bond and get released before the 11th, then your next hearing is actually going to be August 11th at 2:00 in the afternoon. Also at Tucson City Court. Don't go near the incident location. That's where the victims are of that trespass and you can't return there. Do you understand your conditions that I've imposed on your city court case?
Yes.
And if you fail to appear, they're going to issue warrants for you. Do you understand that? You're all done for today.
It's your
Sir.
Hey, sir, tell me your name.
Say Willick.
Mr. Willick, you are here today on charges of dangerous drug possession and you're prohibited from being allowed to carry weapons. So the prohibited possessor charge as well. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by the state. They're asking for a $10,000 bond. Mr. Poston, I will note that he does not appear to have any criminal history, at least according to the pretrial services report, which would seem to conflict with the nature of the offenses in this case. With that, I am inclined to release to pretrial.
Your Honor, court's discretion. Thank you.
So Ms. Adams, I am inclined to release to pretrial at this time. Did you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor, we agree with release for pretrial services.
All right. So, Mr. Willick, you are going to be released today to pretrial services. We're here to talk about your conditions of release. You are going to have to report to that agency as directed, participate in any monitoring or treatment they require you to participate in. You are not allowed to have any alcohol or illegal drugs. And for now, you're not allowed to have any firearms while this case is going on. If you have any other firearms that were not taken by the police, you do need to surrender those to law enforcement. Your attorney from the public defender's office that you've been appointed can help with that. Do you understand all of those conditions of release?
Yes.
All right. Your next court date is going to be July 23rd at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes.
Because you are going to be out of custody, it is important that you stay in contact with your attorney so that you don't miss future court dates. You're all done for today, sir. All right, everyone, that's it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and weekend.
You as well, Your Honor.